So first of all, we have to discuss this is our title in today's class. So first of all, we'll talk about understanding the approach. Second, common terms such as what is exactly the Constitution. Then classification of Constitution. Third, politics. Fourth, polity. Then the term state. Nation. Governance. Government. And administration, and one philosophical term, that is constitutionalism. These are the fundamental terms or basic terms which we come across every time at every step. So it is very, very important to know about these. At least conceptually, you should be very clear. Once you understand these, then when you proceed ahead in the subject, when you go deep inside the subject to take out the analytical facts, then it will be very easy for us. Second advantage is that some of the questions in preliminary exam, they may be asked directly from these terms. For example, what is the difference between governance and government? What is the difference between government and administration? What exactly is constitutionalism? What are the features of state? Whether nation is a political concept or a cultural concept or a politico-cultural concept. So these are the possible questions in multiple choice questions in preliminary exam they may ask. Otherwise, so far as main exam is concerned, these terms will help us frame our answers in an emphatic manner. Now, let us understand first this. As I said 2 minutes before, that the title of the paper itself is very, very important. Why? Let me explain. The title says Governance, Constitution and Polity. It means that governance is the core area supported by the Constitution and polity. And the very objective of this kind of thing is understanding of policy making and policy implementation. What I mean to say here is this title itself gives us the idea that governance is at the center stage, is at the core of your syllabus, which derives a strength from the constitutional aspects. It also derives a strength from political aspects. And when all the three things are blended, the basic objective of the examiner is to test your understanding about policy making and policy implementation. Why? Because you are going to work in bureaucracy, and bureaucracy is a part of administration, and administration's job is to understand policy making and implement them. So, the examiners want to test whether you are able to understand the various dimensions of policy making, the challenges, the issues and concerns, and whether you are able to understand how these policies are implemented. Now, another interesting fact is that this governance term, the term governance, comes from public administration. The term constitution comes from a subject called law, and the term polity comes from political science. So, your paper 2 combines three things: something from public administration, something from law, and something from political science. And the paper gets the blend of all these. But at the center stage is the governance. Why it is so? As I said, that since you are going to be a part of bureaucracy, since you are going to be a part of the administration system, so you need to understand the process of policy making and how do these policies get implemented. That is why this at the center stage governance is kept. Now, we know that India practices rule of law, and rule of law is founded on the doctrine of the supremacy of the Constitution. Once again, India practices rule of law, which means that law is supreme, nobody is above law. And this supremacy of law is founded on the principle of supremacy of the Constitution. Why? Because Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and all administrative laws come out from the Constitution. No statute, no law, no policy, no scheme, no program of Government of India or of any state can go against the Constitution. So, we have two things. We have rule of law, and rule of law is founded on supremacy of the Constitution. So, when the supreme law of the land gives you the idea what to do and what not to do, the administrators, the bureaucrats, the civil servants have to work within that boundary. You have to understand political system, you have to understand the political developments, but you have to work within the framework of the law, framework of the Constitution. What is the significance of this understanding? The significance is, despite the fact that governance is at the center stage, the most important aspect in paper 2 is the Constitution. So, most of the questions they will ask from the constitutional aspects which are related to governance. So, here a very minute thing is to be noted. What is that minute thing? As I said, constitution is a part of law. But since you are not going to be an advocate or a lawyer or a legal expert, so you don't have to study constitution like a legal expert. You have to understand the constitutional aspects in the context of governance. What for? To understand policy making and policy implementation. That's all. So that is the reason why this title of the paper itself tells us that constitutional aspects are more significant relatively than governance and polity. Despite this, governance is at the center stage because everything has to be written in the context of governance. Similarly, if you look at polity, as I said, it comes from political science. And political science is a huge subject which covers so many things. But again, what kind of aspects from political science do we require in this paper? Only those which relate to governance. So again, I am not supposed to study political science as a student of political science. I am supposed to study certain aspects of politics for the purpose of governance and administration, so that again you are able to understand the policy making and policy implementation.